Okay, going back to item 16, this is an item to accept the 2016-17 annual report from the Monterey County Children's Council and to receive an oral presentation regarding the Children's Council Early Childhood Development Initiative. Comienzos Brillantes, we will write the name. And we have our Chief Liaison Officer, Marshall Parsons, and our County Superintendent. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Alejo, members of the board. My name is Marcia Parsons. I'm the Chief Probation Officer. I'm also the past chair of the Monterey County Children's Council. To my immediate right is Dr. Nancy Katowski, Superintendent of Schools, and the current chair of the Monterey County Children's Council. And on my far right is Megan Kennedy Chuan, who is the Senior Manager at First 5 Monterey County. And we're here to present the 2016-17 Monterey County Children's Council Annual Report. The Council is guided by its purpose and mission to provide leadership and policy direction to encourage the development of a comprehensive and collaborative delivery system of services to children in need in Monterey County, so that all children in Monterey County can live in safe, nurturing homes and communities, that they are healthy, that they are valued, that they succeed in school, and realize their full potential. The Council's work is guided by the following principles: collaboration, promoting cross-agency policies and procedures to enhance a seamless delivery of services, and to encourage interagency problem-solving and support. Comprehensive, coordinated, and integrated services, recommending a full array of services and support. Family-centered and family-driven, ensuring that services are available to honor, respect, and empower families as their child's first teacher and strongest advocate. Community-based and community-driven, ensuring that services are available and accessible in a variety of sites and locations. And outcomes-oriented, measuring outcomes for children, youth, and families, and using data to facilitate decision-making, identify obstacles, remove barriers, and improve services. The Children's Council has a long history of incubating initiatives, allowing them to germinate in the community, and then releasing them to fly on their own. Here are a few of those past initiatives. We will briefly touch on each one. They are explained in more detail on pages 28 and 29 of the annual report. And I will turn this over to Dr. Katowski to discuss the first three.
Okay, thank you, Chair Alejo and members of the Board of Supervisors. It's an honor to be with you today and to share with you some great work that's been ongoing with the Children's Council. It goes all the way back to the year 2000 that we decided to include in this annual report to keep record of all of the great things that have been accomplished over the years. So just in a nutshell, because I know that's what's most important, I'll give you the salient points about these. I'm going to start with the Community Alliance for Safety and Peace in 2008. And we're all aware of the great work that's gone on with great sustainability. The CASP organization is thriving. People still continue to meet at 7 o'clock in the morning every other Wednesday. We have over 30 participants in that initiative, and that's spun off of the Children's Council, that development and focus on youth violence. It began, of course, as a subcommittee of the Children's Council, and it took off, as Supervisor Adams will remember, with this project from its very inception. But then moving on, in 2010, the Children's Council focused on an initiative that we called Graduating Healthy Students Prepared for Success. And we underwent a good long year of researching what is it that is necessary, how can we get to the root causes and core of what it takes for all kids to thrive in our schools and in our communities. And that initiative began, of course, with looking at all the array of things that are done across agencies, and then it reached the point where we came to a very succinct understanding of 3 really core important assets that if they're in place for a child, they thrive in life, in every different aspect of their life. And I think, as Judge Phillips knows from Rancho Cielo, and Supervisor Simone knows as well from the work as a teacher over the years, and it's caring relationships, high expectations for what our kids can do in life and soar to boundless heights, and also having the meaningful opportunities for participation and engagement. And if that's in place at home, at school, in the community, and with their peers, we're going to see healthy, thriving students all the way around. And so that initiative, it was actually named in 2011, and it's called All Kids Are Kids, Be There For Them Every Day. That was the tagline that went with it. And from that has also spun off, and these initiatives are now their own entity, and we have moved on, which I've shared with you before, on the Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports program that's in place, and it's now embracing positive behavior and supports for all kids. There are kids. So it's incorporated that initiative into it. So these are 3 of the initiatives that were spun off of the Children's Council from 2008, and now Chief Parsons is going to take it on the last 3.
Thank you. The child welfare redesign began in the early 2000s to improve the local child welfare system capacity to plan, implement, and measure improvement in several key areas. In 2009, the Monterey County Department of Social Services took complete oversight of this initiative to allow the Children's Council to focus on addressing the increasing violence in the community. The Children's Behavioral Health System of Care began in 2003 to develop a comprehensive community mental health services program for children and families. This continues to be a groundbreaking effort to establish a network of partnerships among health, probation, social services, education, community-based organizations, and families. And the last one, transitional housing for probation youth. In 2004, the Children's Council appointed a committee to research the needs of transition age youth who are leaving the probation and the child welfare systems. And lo and behold, housing needs rose to the top. So in 2006, a contract was awarded to Peacock Acres, and the following year, services began with 1 house and 4 units. In 2008, Transitional Housing Placement Program, HPP, for foster care began and provides housing to the master community. And in 2009, Community Human Services opened Safe Passage to transition the support housing program for homeless youth. I'll now turn this back to Dr. Katowski to give you a profile of youth and children in the county from an educational perspective.
Thank you. And what I would refer you in your report to page 7, where we do discuss the profile of our students in Monterey County, beginning with the race and ethnicity. And we'll note that our Hispanic or Latino students are at 78.4% of our student population, compared to the state, which is 54.2%. And you can look there at the other ethnic groups to see to see what the population is of our students. But also down below that, in our next slide here, we have an overview of the performance of some of our subgroups of students, students who are English learners. And you can see the great the great distance that there is between our county and the state of California with regard to these students. You'll see that we have over 18% of our more English learners in our county, and 13.4% more students that are socioeconomically disadvantaged in our county than statewide. And our English-only population is 22% lower than that in the rest of the state. So that's an important factor to note in some of the challenges that we do in fact overcome. And I do want to refer you to your annual. I did include a copy of our annual report to the public, because if you look at the progress that our English learners make in that report, and you want to get into more detail on this, you're going to see our students catching up with the state. If you look at where they come in as kindergartners, then you look over to 3rd grade in that report, on our English learner component, you'll be able to see the great progress that our students do make and actually come up on par with the state in terms of that profile of our English learner students. So that is, I think, is very useful information for you, and just more detail in the county's annual report to the public that we just finished on education. So I would try to do it as user-friendly as possible for you, but it gives you even more detail than what we have here. And then also you can look at, in your report, but I want to just highlight the graduation rates, and you're going to see overall in our county that we have higher graduation rates than that of the state and lower dropout rates than that of the state. So that's important to know. And then if you look at the next slide, this will help you understand what's new in education, which is the accounting of what's called dashboards. It's been a bit confusing because now we're no longer looking at one number at one point in time. We're looking at a number of indicators and over a 3-year period of time to see how our students are doing. And it's being organized according to color bands, meaning if you're in the blue and the green, you're in a good shape. If you're in the yellow, it's kind of a watch. If you're in orange, it's not looking too good. And if you're red, it's not looking good at all. So they're looking now with all of these various dashboards for many indicators from the state at not only the current level, the status level of where our children are performing, and they give you one of the indicators in your report indicated there, and it's also in my annual report. And then you move over, they want to look at how they've done over 3 years. So they not only have to do well in the current year, but they have to have made progress over the last 3 years in order to be in the green or the blue. And you'll notice our graduation rates are there in the green. But our big challenge, I must say, is it's not just graduating students, it's graduating students that are prepared. And that's our focus. We're getting them graduated. They have high ambitions for what they want to do in life. They have high expectation for achieving, and it's just not reaching that level. And we really, that's where our challenges are and what we're addressing. But these dashboards, an array of these dashboards, give these specific indicators by school. And now the California Department of Education is making available an ability for parents that are confused by all this, by all these dashboards, instead of looking for the one number, it's rather looking at a number of indicators, but now you can pull up like 3 different schools on the same screen. And you'd be able to compare, if you're wanting to compare on certain factors, you can pull up those particular dashboards, and then you could look at the 3 comparison schools at this time. And they're trying to get that increased. Currently, we're working on that at the state to get it up to being able to look at 5 at a time. So that would be a nutshell at this time. I'm available anytime you want to give me a call. If you want to talk any further and delve into the education component, I'd be more than happy to do that with you.
Thank you, Superintendent.
Thank you. I'll now turn it over to Megan, who will give an update on the Children's Council initiative, Bright Beginnings.
Thank you, supervisors, for the opportunity to share with you today some highlights of our work during the 2016-2017 year, and to give you some information about the progress made on your investment in the county's youngest learners. The vision, as we've already stated, is that all children in Monterey County live in safe, nurturing homes and communities, and that they're healthy, valued, and succeed in school and life to realize their full potential. And our vision is not just of children doing well, but really that when children do well, entire communities thrive. So it's really of a thriving Monterey County. The initiative was launched in 2012, and under the banner of Bright Beginnings, a very powerful coalition of business leaders, nonprofits, the County Board of Supervisors, local governments, school districts, philanthropic leaders, and service providers are working together to achieve our goal of improving the outcomes for children across the county. First Five serves as the fiscal sponsor, and the primary funding comes from the Board of Supervisors through the Health Department. The initiative is a cross-sector initiative, and it is co-chaired by the county's Health Department and First Five Monterey County. Now, the impetus for Bright Beginnings is really a broad recognition of an excitement about the tremendous potential of investing early. And not only recognizing that by investing early we can improve children's well-being and fulfill children's rights today, but also that we can have numerous positive impacts throughout the community. And some research has shown a $13 return for every dollar invested in high-quality early childhood supports. And we've also seen that early childhood plays a critical role in many of the priority issues that have been identified as challenges across the county, including reducing violent crime and improving graduation rates and lifetime earnings. So that broader vision is really what drives Bright Beginnings, in addition to the actual value of investing in every individual child. So to achieve these results, I won't go into a lot of detail here, you have more detail in your report, but we take a collective impact approach, which is really results focused. We measure the outcomes of the work that we're doing and are always driving to achieve bigger impact. To achieve an impact on children's well-being, you have to influence a variety of actors, from individual families all the way up to policymakers. And we do that through our collaborative action teams, which are working across the county. This year, we've added an advisory group, an early childhood development advisory group for Monterey County, which is bringing real expertise and the leading minds in the county focused on early childhood that are informing the strategic plan that's moving forward. And the Bright Beginnings backbone, which is myself and other staff that provide the support of the day-to-day management. And finally, the Children's Council, which provides the overall strategic guidance. And in terms of the results that we're aiming to achieve, you'll see here some of our latest data that we have for our overall measures of children's well-being. As I said, our goal is to improve children's well-being, and we're measuring that currently with a measure of children's development at the age of 5 when they're entering kindergarten, which we know is an incredibly important moment in their lives and highly predictive of their success in 3rd grade and later in high school graduation and in the rest of their lives. So we're seeing positive trends here, and we've also seen some really important local results that are being achieved by our local collaborative action teams throughout the county. But to be frank, the progress is not anywhere near as positive as we would hope, and we're not achieving the scale of impact that we need for the 41,000 children in the county under the age of 5. And so in recognition of that, what we're trying to do, what we've done in the past year, is really to delve into looking at what are the gaps that remain and what can we do to really focus in on those gaps and make the biggest difference, especially for those children that are facing the greatest barriers. You see some of the gaps also in the underlying contributing indicators that we also monitor, some of which are improving slightly, but some of which continue to decline. We see that there are still too many parents that want high-quality childcare but either are unable to afford it or there simply are not enough spaces in the high-quality programs. So looking at the overall, despite this overall positive trend, we're not satisfied with the level of progress. And so this past year, we really delved into the local data behind the kindergarten readiness. What are those factors that are contributing to kindergarten readiness? And we also carried out a thorough root cause analysis to refocus our efforts on the things that will make the biggest difference in children's well-being. So I'll share with you now just very briefly the 4 areas that we've chosen to focus. And those are around having empowered and resilient parents, one of the critical factors in children's success. Ensuring that parents are surrounded by culturally responsive and high-quality services and in times of need. We know all families need help at some point, and we need to make sure that that system is cohesive and supports all parents. We also want to make sure that children are in the care of caregivers who use the types of behavior that support their development optimally, whether that's at home with a parent or whether that's in an informal child care setting or in a Head Start or other child care center. And finally, our real focus is around equity. As I mentioned, the gaps that we see in the county we find simply unacceptable. You see kindergarten readiness rates vary from 47% in some parts of the county to as low as 15% in other parts of the county. And so really looking at the equity issues that are driving those inequalities is a key focus for our current strategic plan. And you'll be hearing more in the next couple of months about the different strategies that we're deploying with action teams to address each of these 4 factors across the broad cross-sector team of the Children's Council. Again, I won't go into too much detail here. You have more findings in your report, but this section talks a bit about how we actually do the collective impact work, and this is where your investment goes to support the actions. We had an independent evaluation carried out in 2016-17, which showed that we're making good progress, and we're on par with similar communities using a collective impact approach. One area where we made really notable progress this past year is in shared measurements, and I know that was a key source of interest for the board. We're looking at how we can better capture the results of individual projects, whether that's looking at the number of kindergartners starting on time because we've changed the registration system, or looking at the number of families that are being visited by a community health worker. And we are also working with the school system to develop a shared data system that we can use to better assess children's kindergarten readiness on a regular basis, so that we would ideally have high-quality information about children's development for every child of the 7,000 children that enter kindergarten every year in the county. We are very proud of the learning culture that we've developed and that we have a common vision that we're all working towards. Really the key to collective impact is that we're working to solve problems that are too complex and too big for any one department to solve themselves. And so we all have to be pulling in the same direction towards that one vision. And we're seeing lots of progress in that area as well. This year we were excited to, for the first time, Bright Beginnings leverage in aligned funding. That means a local funder, the United Way, actually provided funding to local action teams to implement projects that were identified through Bright Beginnings. And we're working to communicate about the results of the activities and in order to increase the impact. As I've mentioned, we support 6 collaborative action teams across the county. Unfortunately, some of our leaders had to leave, but they will be speaking during the public comments period to give you a little bit of a flavor of their own experience in working across the county. Just to share a few of the highlights over the past year for those that couldn't be here today. You'll see some photos from our teams in Pajaro, in Greenfield, and in North Monterey County. So in Gonzales, there's a project to support informal providers, which are those folks that are taking care of children, often in their home, without a license, or in a situation of sort of an informal child care setting where we know some of the lowest quality child care is being provided. And that's a real concern because we're seeing that children that are in formal child care settings are least likely to be ready for kindergarten. And Gonzales and Greenfield are both working on projects in that area. In Greenfield, we're also supporting a transitional kindergarten and kindergarten community resource festival, which has helped to increase enrollment in their summer programs and in their transitional kindergarten for 4-year-olds. In North Monterey County, there's a summer bridge program, again providing comprehensive support to children and families, and providing an opportunity, especially for those children who have had no formal education experience before they enter kindergarten, to have an intensive program over the summer and help ease that transition to start school on the right foot. In the Peninsula area, the school district is leading on expanding transitional kindergarten and preschool, and also providing parenting supports. And again, in North County, in Pajaro, we have a Promotoras program that is working to train local community advocates and to be a bridge between families and needed services. And in Salinas, we're working on a Preschool for All program and campaign, which you'll hear more about in a few minutes. In addition to supporting the local action teams, we're also supporting county-wide projects, and that's something that we've scaled up in the past year. We've launched a family-friendly business certification process, and we'd like to thank the supervisors for your support in this area. The aim with this is really to help create an enabling environment for working parents. We know a lot of working parents are under tremendous pressure and stress to support their children, and so creating a better environment with their employers can make a real difference for children's outcomes. So far, we've awarded 15 family-friendly businesses, and we would like to encourage you yourselves, if you are employers, to please go ahead and apply, and maybe you can compete and see who can get the highest level of family-friendly employment status, because we have 3 levels.
Well, none of us are employers, but out there in the community, we'd like to get that there.
You can also nominate any local businesses that you go to that you feel are child welcoming, so those could be restaurants or hair salons or that type of thing. So over the next year, we have 3 focus goals. The first is really to bring to life our equity focus. As I mentioned, we don't think we can transform the systems that are impacting children unless we address the equity gaps in the county head on. And so we are looking at really what are those key factors impacting children and creating barriers to children's outcomes. We're also refining and improving our shared data and evaluation system, as I mentioned. And we're looking to really escalate the level of activity. So we've been supporting lots of small local projects and pilots, and now's the time to really take those to scale and see that bigger impact. So I'd like to give you a couple of things to watch for in 2018 and really a call to action. I think just sitting listening to your conversations today, we see young children and babies are throughout every topic that you discuss here in the county, and we would like to see you considering the impact on children and families every time you discuss a policy, whether that's cannabis revenue or whether that's a homeless shelter and whether that provides space for families. We'd also like to invite you to continue to be champions, as you have in the past, for supporting the work of Bright Beginnings local communities. One exciting project, as I mentioned, is a Preschool for All campaign. Our goal is that every single 3 and 4-year-old child in Salinas will have a top quality preschool education by the year 2020, and we're working closely with our partners in the city of Salinas to help achieve that. We're also going to be launching the strategic plan for early childhood development in Monterey County. This will lay out a roadmap, including the analysis that we've done of local data and a literature review of key strategies that will help us achieve bigger impact faster. As I mentioned, we will be making recommendations for a county-wide kindergarten readiness assessment system. And our promotoras will begin working in Pajaro. We'll also be evaluating the impact of that community health worker project. And various other projects will be launching throughout the year. Again, thank you so much for your support and for continuing to be champions for children and to be a big voice for the littlest ones in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. That concludes our presentation. We're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chief Parsons. Any comments from my colleagues? Supervisor Salinas.
Just a quick one in terms of the Gonzalez model, because that's one that I haven't been to the first 5 also. There's only access to maybe 25–30% accessible affordable care for our families, but it's the family-friendly neighbors that are doing a lot of the child caring for the working families that are out there. And so I know this is one of the issues that we look at. How do we get some technical help? Those things with equity, because that's where the bulk of the child caring is taken care of. That's a very critical point. Hope a good model and pilot project for other communities to look at it. And certainly if they look at cannabis and even the school districts, how do we work together? The funding's not there for everything we need to do. So how is that? Are you tracking that also, making sure that we get data for that?
Yeah, thank you. That's an excellent question. So in Gonzalez, there's support from the United Way, who is supporting a pilot project which is looking to replicate a successful model of supporting family, friends, and neighbor providers in Gonzalez. And that's really a peer support network. So you bring family, friends, and neighbor providers together and you support them, you meet them where they are in terms of their own lives and their own developments, and you help them to learn about what's the best way to support children. You also help them with things, some of the needs that have emerged from speaking with the FFNs or family, friends, and neighbors in Gonzalez are related to health and safety. So for example, how do you respond to health crises and things of that nature. So we're really working at the speed of trust with the local communities. The immigration enforcement situation is making it incredibly difficult. A lot of parents and families are reporting they're not leaving the home, and you have young children that are stuck indoors and literally not going out, especially the younger ones because they don't have to go to school. So that's a real concern, and that's leading us to work in a very locally led and moving at the speed of trust, as I said, in that way. But we will be doing an evaluation of the work that's happening in Gonzalez and in Greenfield to make sure that we have a good model, and we'd like to then scale that up into other communities.
I made to Supervisor Salinas' remark. The other issue we're facing with our migrant community is that we run the migrant education programs, and we're seeing a significant drop, a $2 million loss in the year ahead in migrant funding because families do not want to be identified participating in programs. So this is an issue that is going on.
And in terms of the funding, I think you raised an excellent point, and I know that all of you are hosting meetings throughout the county where you'll be hearing from your constituents, and we certainly hope that you'll consider putting cannabis revenues and other revenues towards early childhood, because really we save you money in the long run. If you help reach children when they're very young, it reduces costs for violence prevention later, and it reduces remedial costs in the education system as well as in the healthcare system.
Thank you. Other questions, comments?
I do have some comments, but I'll wait till I'm here.
Okay. Open this to any members of the public. We do have 3 more items on our agenda today, so we invite one to speak on item 16.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es María García. Soy
your microphone working? Another microphone.
Seguida por...
Mi nombre es María García, soy
Mi nombre es María
orgullosamente parte del grupo de Comienzos Brillantes de aquí de Salinas.
I'm proudly a member of the Comienzos Brillantes de Salinas.
Estoy abogando por preescolar para todos los niños.
I'm lobbying for the school for all children.
La razón que me trae aquí es que estoy en el grupo es porque tengo dos hijos, una niña de 15 años, un niño de 8.
The reason is I have 2 kids, a 15-year-old girl and a 8-year-old boy.
Mi niño de 8 estuvo en preescolar, tuvo la suerte de tener cuidado de calidad.
My 8-year-old boy had the luck to have good preschool quality service.
Yo caí en la razón o pienso que no somos ciegos para ver a veces. Uno cuando es joven está ciego a la realidad de lo que son los hijos. Cuando uno va viendo la diferencia entre un niño y otro, se da cuenta de la necesidad que hay de que tengan a temprana edad la educación.
I believe we as blind parents do not realize our kids' school education behavior is developing unless we see the opportunity that one of these programs gives to them.
Por eso yo quisiera que sí nos dieran el apoyo para tener el preescolar para todos los niños.
For that reason, I'm asking for your full support so that we can have preschool work for all our kids.
Del modo que se puede hacer es proveyendo fondos para los preescolares, para cuidado de calidad, que todos los...
A way that it can be given is by supplying the funds needed so we can have good quality preschool.
Para que todos tengan el impacto y la inversión, creará una comunidad más saludable donde nuestros niños crecerán exitosos.
So that they all have the investment and impact, we can have a healthy community of young kids growing up.
Social y emocionalmente, académicamente
as well as academically.
y en todos los sentidos que un niño necesite de desenvolverse desde pequeño.
In all the needs that a small child needs to develop in all the facets of the development.
Les agradeceríamos mucho si nos dieran su apoyo y para lograr nuestra meta como padres de aquí de Salinas, de tener un Salinas mejor.
We thank you all for giving me your full support so as parents of Salinas kids, we can reach our objective. Thank you.
Ya que son nuestro futuro los niños.
Since our children are our future. Thank you.
Gracias, thank you. Next, anyone else?
Buenas tardes. Me encuentro nuevamente frente a ustedes para reiterarles nuestro agradecimiento por el apoyo que han brindado a este proyecto de Bright Beginnings. Muchas gracias.
I stand in front of you once again to reiterate our gratitude for the support provided to us for this project. I'm a member of the Bright Beginnings of the Salinas Parent Committee, and I can attest that it takes hard work and time to fulfill this vision.
Mi nombre es Beatriz Garza, soy residente de Salinas y madre de 3 niños de 20, 17 y 11 años, que tuvieron la oportunidad de poder asistir en sus primeros años de vida a una escuelita de preescolar. Por tal motivo considero que tengo la experiencia y el conocimiento de viva voz del gran impacto y beneficio que el preescolar crea en los niños. Como consecuencia de esta base, mis 3 niños han sido estudiantes sobresalientes, deportistas y disciplinados. Y los 3 aspiran a una educación superior y mejorar su comunidad.
My name is Beatriz Garza, and I'm a Salinas resident and mother of 3 sons, 20, 17, and 11. They were fortunate to have the opportunity to attend a preschool program. I can testify of the great benefits children have when attending this program. It promotes learning and positive welfare to a child's life. The return that the preschool program had in my children is that they are high academic achieving, athletes, and disciplined. All 3 of my boys have set goals to earn college degrees and help improve their community.
Pero hoy, aparte de ofrecerles mis más sincero agradecimiento por su labor, me gustaría pedirles su apoyo y compromiso para hacer nuestra visión, nuestro sueño, una realidad. Que todos los niños de 0 a 5 años tengan el acceso a una educación preescolar en instalaciones y con maestros de calidad. Que este sea su derecho, no su privilegio. por el bien de los niños, de sus padres, de la comunidad y del condado de Monterey. Espero que con su apoyo esta visión se convierta pronto en una realidad. Gracias.
Today, I not only come here to say thank you, I also come here asking for additional support to make this dream vision become a reality to all of our kids. We would like to, for all kids ages 0 to 5, to have access to a preschool program. We hope that this one day become a right and not a privilege. For the betterment of our children, parents, community members in Monterey County, we hope that with your support, this vision will soon become a reality. Thank you.
Good, gracias. And she's so good, she brought a second coffee for the turban. She thought about you. Take care of you. All right, anyone else on this? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Noemi Loveless. I'm the Director of Student Family Services for North Monterey County Unified School District, and my office is at the Castro Plaza Family Resource Center. So it's a pleasure to be here this afternoon and support the great work that Bright Beginnings has created in our county, working collectively within our different regions. North Monterey County first came aboard one of the early development initiatives, and we've really evolved in North County. We have a strategic plan through our Cradle to Career, and one of our collaborative action teams is focused on 0 to 3. As Megan mentioned, she shared some pictures of different things happening in the county, and we've had the pleasure to partner with a local nonprofit with United Way, being able to offer our summer bridge to students that had no licensed daycare facility services before entering kindergarten. And in that first project last year, we saw a lot of growth in social and emotional development, which is the foundation of school readiness. If children can't self-regulate themselves, and be able to socialize with other children, that's going to have an impact in their school readiness when they start kindergarten. So it's an example how collectively impact could be positive in our county when government agencies, countywide nonprofits, school districts, and businesses come together with a focused project and implement it, and then afterwards we could still continue through the project to see the data improving, that the early years are very impactful for all of our children. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else on this item? Item 16. Seeing none, we'll bring this back for comments. We'll start with Supervisor Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I really appreciated, thank you for the presentation. I really appreciated being reminded of the different projects that the Children's Council has been involved in over the years. It's really, really impressive. And I mainly want to focus on the Bright Beginnings. I really appreciate that, since that's a current project of the Children's Council. Really appreciate all the work that's been done recently to focus on the data and the outcomes. A lot of the work, or some of the work, has been going on, but we haven't been as coordinated in seeing how well things are working and really measuring. So I'm really glad to see this going on, as well as highlighting the equity issues. We see in health outcomes as well as education outcomes huge differences among different populations, and really making a difference there is absolutely critical. And I do hear more and more out in the community talk about early childhood. So I know that the work that's being done is paying off in terms of community awareness, as well as you mentioned, new investments coming in. So I really think it's going to be important to stay focused on those results that we're aiming for. You mentioned really looking at ways to strengthen what we're doing so we can get to the results more quickly. People's lives are at stake. And I really look forward to seeing a presentation on the strategic plan, and then hearing more about the business community's involvement, since this is how we get a resilient, creative, productive workforce, in addition to happy, healthy constituents and community members. So thanks for all your great work.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for the presentation. It was really wonderful and always makes me smile. I just really am so delighted to see how everything continues to roll so well. New leadership at the top always makes a difference, and it's just really been wonderful. I cannot help but go back and remember when working with the business communities with the Rotary clubs and First Five, when you brought Professor Nobel Prize winner in economics, Professor Heckman here, who talked about the return on the investment of working with children at their very, very early ages. And that I think it was for every dollar invested, we really clearly $3 back just right off the bat. I think that's a very important thing to remember as we look at the opportunity that we have to invest in early childhood education and early childhood care. I think it makes all the difference in the world. So I thank you all for that so very much, and really like the quote that you have up, because I believe it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. So thank you for your leadership. Thank you, KateUstania from United Way, for your part in all of this as well.
Always like a good Frederick Douglass quote. Supervisor, anyone else?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me just, again, thank the Action Council for your report, and just sort of echo what my colleagues have said in terms of, the best investment comes as far upstream as we can go. That's what Heckman indicated. He says for every dollar invested, now the number that he came up recently was almost $15 to $17 a year. So that's a good rate of return for the community to keep in mind. But what's happening now is a collaborative effort that I hadn't seen for many years also in terms of, the need is great, so we can't afford to waste any resources. We have to listen to what the mom was saying here about her 3 children. She sees the impact of quality childcare. I had the fortune also to put my son through that, the preschool here in Salinas, and that's certainly helped him throughout his elementary, high school, but certainly college career. We set the foundation, so that's very important. So we need to keep looking at that. Again, I want to thank everybody for working there, and I know Nina and Dr. Francina can come with a new model that we're going to get out there, because we're truly asking everybody to invest their dollars. Here's an MIT to invest it in early childhood education, but the new model is going to be put your money where your heart is. And that is what we're going to ask everybody to do in this search. We ought to, I know it's difficult, but the more we collaborate, the more we're going to make sure that those dollars are being used wisely. So thank you.
I'll echo what's been said, but thank you for your report and your interest in this. And I want to thank Naomi and her staff for what they're doing out there in Castroville and North County and what's going on in Pablo. But I think all of us are realizing how important early childhood education is, and it should be a matter of right. You look back, how did we get to the point where we said, well, our educational process is going to start at age 6 versus age 3? A lot of it had to do, I think, with their mothers always being home in those days and not providing it. But the equity thing you're talking about, that's one thing that we feel strongly about, or I do, that whether you're in Carmel or your child's in Chula or in Pablo, they ought to have the same opportunity there. And when you look at it, it is a little scary when you say only 25% of them are ready for kindergarten. You've got some work to do. I mean, fortunately, you're 49% at 3rd grade. Half of them catch up, but half of them are still catching. I got 2 of my kids are in early education, and they see the impacts of trying to get those kids to catch up. So thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you. And before I let you, and I just wanted to say that I think it's great that we had this presentation. You come back here every year to give us an update, because it really shows where our emphasis is. If we can't see how we're doing in terms of doing better for our young people, then we're missing a big part if we're trying to have a better future in California and across the nation. It starts with everything we just talked about. But I thought it was glaring just to see the diversity of young people. 87% of students of color, young people, children of color, now in Monterey County. The demographics have dramatically changed here. I like seeing the progress on graduation rates that we're at 85.5. Still a gap there, but a few years ago we were in the 70s, and so we've made a lot of good progress, and we are above the state average on that, so that's really good to see. But I think it's important for all local governments and certainly as county supervisors to support the efforts, and that our communities knows that we're making it a priority to see the progress we're making and we're better serving our children, especially at those critical early ages. So I commend you for your efforts with this presentation. So I'll give you the last word.
Thank you so much for your support.
Superintendent.
thank you very much for your support, and if you'd ever like me to come back on the education report, I'd be happy to do that at any time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your support and being champions for children.
All right, so this is, we have a motion to accept the report, and
Move accept. Second.
second, we move in second, moved by Salinas, second by Phillips. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next, the same line of requirements, we have to do a hearing on AB 300 on the local child care policy and evaluation plan for Monterey County's individualized child care subsidy pilot. And we have 3 items left on the agenda. In our last 2, or we have a lot of speakers here, so if we could ask if we could do as concise as possible on this one.
Okay. Good afternoon again, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Harry Robinson from the Department of Social Services, and I'm here with Shannon Watkins, who's the chair of the Monterey County Child Care Planning Council, to introduce the public hearing on Assembly Bill 300, which or the local child care policy and evaluation plan for Monterey County's individualized child care subsidy pilot. And I'm here with Shannon Watkins. And I just first want to start off thanking Assemblymember Caballero for introducing this bill, for the Child Care Planning Council on figuring it all out, and with Great Beginnings and many other partners who supported the waiver process going forward. The goal of the waiver process really is, or the waiver is really to address 2 challenges. One is that families struggle to earn enough to meet the high cost of living in the county, yet are still considered earning too high income to qualify for child care subsidies. And second, the state reimbursement rates of providers contracted to provide high-quality child care are so low that contractors can't cover their costs, and so they're unable to fully utilize the allocations. Ultimately, the goal of the waiver is to increase access to child care, so increase utilization of slots, and help make the system pay better for the subsidized child care contractors. There are 6 elements to the pilot plan that we're bringing forward. One is to increase the income threshold for both entry and exit to 85% of the state median income. Currently, the threshold to enter is 70%. And if you have income of less than 70% of the state median income, then you can enter, but if it's greater, you can't. So this expands the entry point. And under the current system, you can stay in until you earn up to 85% with a decreasing level of subsidy. So this allows families to enter the subsidized child care system with higher income, but doesn't change the overall reimbursement rates. It also allows our providers to modify their contract terms in the second year of the pilot project to redistribute funds to where they're needed. Second, it authorizes 24-month eligibility for families utilizing half-day services only. Fourth, it authorizes 12 months of eligibilities for families who are certified with seeking employment as the basis of the need. Fifth, it restores the age eligibility for the California State preschool projects to 2.9 years old. And so this is where I'm going to garble a little bit, and I might have some help. But basically, it allows children to, who will have their 3rd birthday on or before December 1st in the fiscal year, to enroll in the state preschool program. And it additionally authorizes children born after December 1st to begin services immediately after or on their 3rd birthday. And finally, it incorporates additional changes to meet the needs of low-income families in the county by authorizing families for 6.5 hours of service if their only need is seeking housing or seeking employment. So overall, it's a process to expand access, expand utilization of the funds within the existing allocations that our contractors receive. The plan was developed collaboratively amongst our state subsidized providers, overseen by the Child Care Planning Council, which has already approved this plan. With the adoption by the Board of Supervisors, then we can submit it to the State Department of Education. We'll have another opportunity to review and approve various elements. There's no cost impact to the county. We're just part of the oversight body along with the Child Care Planning Council, which is housed in the Department of Education. And with that, Jen and I are here to answer any questions you may have.
Well, we'd like to hear any words from our chair, Madam Chair, Watkins. We don't get to see you too often here, so if you're here, might as well say a few words on the mic.
No, I'm too busy running around chasing the kids. I want to express my sincere thanks to Javier for listening to us and bringing this concern forward. This pilot program is modeled after 4 other successful counties who felt that their counties were high cost, like Monterey County, and we needed special rules because we need to account for the high cost of living in this county, and we have families who make too much to qualify for subsidized services, but not enough to pay their bills. And that was eliminating children from our programs. And as a result, in fiscal year 16-17, we returned almost $800,000 to the state that could have been used to serve children. By sitting down, by having this introduced, and by coming together, we had all the contractors in Monterey County, which included 16 headquartered agencies, which means they operate primarily in Monterey County, and 2 non-headquartered agencies. All 12 local LEAs participated and signed on. Both colleges and the university also have services, they signed on. And the county office of ed also participated, as well as the 2 non-LEA programs to develop this entire plan. So it comes straight from the hard work, from the work that they do, and from the barriers that they are encountering and trying to get families into services. So it's straight from the ground.
Thank you. We'll bring this back for questions. I did want to point out that the bill does say you have to have a public hearing, and the plan is already attached as our staff report. And I did want to point out that I think the first county to do this was San Mateo, led by former Senator Joseph Midian, and it worked out to be successful. And as you mentioned, San Francisco. And then just this year, last year I should say, when this bill was authored for the 3-county area, that includes Santa Cruz, Monterey, and San Benito counties. That same year, we had several other authors. Tony Thurman was looking to do a similar bill, and I think the Napa area, Jim Frazier down in Solano County, and then Joaquin Aramula in Fresno County. So all we're trying to build on what was done initially and turned out to be successful. But I think overall this is supposed to help us utilize about $2.5 million over 2 years rather than having to return to the state's general fund. So it's a win-win. Other comments, questions? Yes.
Thank you very much. I did just have one quick question. As we have gone over kind of looking at this, I know that you indicated that you had revised the entry-level income so people could enter in at a higher income. Did you also then adjust the exit income also? So there's a higher exit income when you have to get out?
No, so currently the way that the state regulations, they just changed in this last fiscal year. We were frozen at the 2006 state median income, 70% of it. With the adjustment that the state made, they made it where you could enter in at under 70% of the state median income for 2016, and they will be adjusting it yearly. And you would exit out at 85%. So if you came in for a recertification, you had an extra 50. The goal was to be able to have them move towards sustainability. And what we're doing is that saying they should be able to enter and exit at the 85% right now, adjusted for inflation yearly by the state.
Okay.
So for a family of 4, that looks like them being able to make about $5,800 a month to qualify for services.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the work that you guys are doing.
Supervisor Parker?
Thank you. Yes, I appreciate Assemblymember Caballero for carrying this bill, and for the Child Care Planning Council for really tweaking this to make sure that it was really addressing the needs of Monterey County. And of course, we know from our previous item, as well as just what we know, that really making sure that kids have high quality care, it just makes all the difference in the world. It's a great investment. My question was, this is a pilot, but I don't remember seeing how long we're going to try this. I know we're evaluating as we go, but how long does this go before we say, yes, we want to do this forever, or we need to tweak it this other way?
So the bill has been authorized until July 1st of 2023. And then we have the option of introducing, having one of our legislators introduce to make it more permanent. The nice part about this is many of the things that we are asking for at this point, there's been state bills introduced to make it statewide, because the state has finally realized that these are fixes that need to be done a long time ago. So as of right now, we have a 5-year pilot program. Our goal is that when it's approved here, it would go to the Department of Education, and they have 30 days to reply, and our goal is that it would be operable July 1st. So we would have our first report to submit to both you guys and the Department of Education sometime in summer.
Thank you very much.
Okay. taking this to any comments from the public on this item? See none? See none?
Move staff recommendation.
Been moved by, staff recommendation been moved by Supervisor Salinas, second by Supervisor Phillips. Seeing no other comment, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.